Barbados and China bound by mutual respect. A veteran trade unionist has some parting words for his labor comrades. And Rihanna to play a bigger role as a Barbados ambassador.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
A very good evening to you with the Thursday, September 20th edition of the CBC Evening News. I am Ryan Broom in our top story. Barbados and China share a very special relationship, and Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley says for her, it reflects what it means to lead with courage and foresight. She made this point as the Chinese embassy celebrated the 69th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China with a reception last evening at the Hilton Hotel. Ms. Motley reminded those gathered that when Barbados and China entered a relationship 41 years ago, it was done when many others globally were hesitant to make that decision. The Prime Minister says despite the difference in size, Barbados and China are bound by mutual respect and common goals.
A fight for the development of our people, a fight for the preservation of our global environment, a fight to allow those features of our life that have bedeviled us, particularly with aging populations, for us to be able to see how best we can improve the quality of life of those. A fight to confront how technology can help us without removing the very platform upon which we stand, because, as we all know, technology is but a tool.
Ms. Motley says one of government's objectives by 2030 is that each Barbadian child must be given the opportunity to be bilingual. She stresses it is impossible to live in the world today without having a level of proficiency in Mandarin.
The establishment of the Confucius Center here is an indication that we need to be able to expand both the knowledge of language and the knowledge of history and mores of the Chinese culture. We, however, want to carry it to the next level. And by having that simple goal in 2030, it means that we need to start to introduce in the teaching at our schools at primary and secondary level the teaching of Mandarin. I look forward to our government working with yours to see how these practical objectives can be achieved.
Meanwhile, China's ambassador to Barbados, Yang Zhusheng, says China and Barbados have been close friends and great partners since establishing diplomatic ties 41 years ago.
Our political mutual trust has been continuously enhanced. Leaders between our two countries and governments maintained frequent communications, which set forth the path of the development of our relations.
And Ambassador Yan says over those 41 years, China has provided aid of over 100 million Barbados dollars to the country.
China's aid, including those to the Caribbean and Latin American countries, is never attached with political strings. China stands ready to gradually increase and innovate its aid by putting priorities in areas such as human resource, infrastructure, agriculture, food security, climate change, and etc., so as to better facilitate the social and economic development of recipient countries.
In other news now, a veteran trade union leader says there must be a balanced approach to shouldering the country's economic burden. The sentiment comes from the outgoing president of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, Cedric Murrell. The occasion, CTUSAB's 12th Biennial Conference.
As Barbados moves closer to the phase of its economic recovery expected to see job cuts in the public sector, the parting message from CTUSAB's outgoing president Cedric Murrell to labor leaders was simple. Workers must share in the country's economic burdens. However, their rights and interests must continue to be well represented.
To ensure that we share the responsibility of moving our economy out of the doldrums that we are now in, and to ensure that we share in the prosperity which is envisaged at the end of this period.
Also speaking at the biennial conference was Minister of Labor and Social Partnership Relations, Colin Jordan. Again, he sought to assure public workers' representatives they will not be forced to bear the brunt of the expected economic measures. He promised government would continue to maintain close dialogue to ensure economic adjustments continue to be equally shared.
But I think it my duty to say to you that while there will be displacement, we have in our policies broadened those policies so that other sectors and even persons who are not resident or citizens of the country are asked to bear some of the burdens of adjustment.
Meanwhile, the outgoing CITUSA president was honored for his years of service. Edmund O'Neill will succeed him in the position. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Thanks, Kareem. Well, with entrepreneurship earmarked as a key part of Barbados' economic recovery, one organization is making it easier for people to become businessmen. President of the Whole Town Chamber of Trade Incorporated, Mark Simmons, says they are aiming to create a supportive platform for entrepreneurs. Mr. Simmons was speaking at the inaugural Whole Town Leadership Forum, where he also encouraged entrepreneurs to explore markets beyond the island's shores.
Entrepreneurship also calls for venture capitalists. It calls for incubators. It calls for mentors. It calls for straight-line academic education. It calls for internships. So we are about promoting that among our membership and promoting that through government, promoting that through industry, that we foster and create mentors, create an environment where entrepreneurs can flourish confidently, freely, not having any worry. And when I say entrepreneurship, I don't mean opening 15 barbershops in Barbados. I mean opening 3 in Barbados, proving the concept, and then exporting it right across the world.
The forum provided an opportunity for the audience and business leaders from various countries to interact and find solutions to various leadership challenges. In attendance was Tourism Minister Kerry Simmons, who says parents are instrumental in guiding their children's futures.
You know, nowadays you tend to tell children, oh, this is for adults, or you don't encourage them to voice an opinion or participate in debate and conversation of certain levels. I was encouraged to participate. I was urged to have an opinion, urged to, you know, what have you read in the newspaper today? Tell me about the editorial. What's your view about it? And there was this back and forth. So I developed a public policy interest. I genuinely did.
Some agricultural news now. A new initiative between the Barbados Agricultural Society and HIPAC Limited is expected to benefit pig farmers. In an effort to meet growing demand for local pork, the two entities are encouraging greater use of artificial insemination for pigs. That will be one of the main aspects of a seminar for farmers this Friday and Saturday. Chief Executive Officer of the BAS, James Paul, says they hope to maintain the local pork industry by helping the farmers to become more profitable.
One of the things we don't understand is that earning profits in respect of the farmer is important in terms of maintaining his interest in the industry. And you know, while in Barbados we think that only investors are to have a return on their investment, the pig farmer in himself is an investor. So what we want to do is to encourage practices on the farms, which helps that pig farmer to actually earn greater returns on his investment.
Now, Mr. Paul estimates there are over 500 pig farmers on the island. The BAS head says there is therefore a potential niche market that they can tap into.
One of the things that we don't recognize, that most of the breeds of animals that we have are really temperate for temperate conditions. They are not really produced as such for the tropics, okay? And the thing is really having animals that are born in tropics and actually exporting genetics that are designed for the tropics offers an opportunity in terms of development of intellectual property that is not being explored, and it also offers Barbados an opportunity to develop revenue earning sources in terms of foreign exchange that is there to be exploited as we go into the future.
International pop icon Robin Rihanna Fenty has been appointed as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary. She will have specific responsibility for promoting, educating, tourism and investment in the island. In a release from the Government Information Service, Prime Minister Mia Moore-Motley says government is honored to confer the title on the outstanding Barbadian who has contributed significantly to raising the island's profile across the world. Ms. Motley says Rihanna has a deep love for and continues to give back to the country. The Prime Minister also says she demonstrated beyond her success as a pop icon, significant creative acumen and shrewdness in business. Rihanna was appointed as one of Barbados' cultural ambassadors in 2008, undertaking promotional work on behalf of the ministry with responsibility for tourism. However, the expanded role takes into consideration her multi-dimensional achievements and global influence across a much broader range of areas. In accepting her new duties, Ambassador Fenty notes that she's ready to play her part in creating a new Barbados. She says she looks forward to working with Prime Minister Motley and her team to reimagine Barbados. Well, every 3 seconds, someone in the world is diagnosed with dementia. This was the theme up for discussion when the Barbados Alzheimer's Association hosted its latest educational seminar for World Alzheimer's Month. President Pamelia Burton says the association must always remind the public that dementia is everyone's business, especially the caregivers.
The role of the caregiving means understanding more. We need to be more together. We need more togetherness. I say this because of conversations I have with families, especially on requested visits to homes. I look forward to seeing a dementia-friendly Barbados. It's important to implement dementia interventions, focusing on the detections, the diagnosis, the risk reductions, and of course, more loving caregiving homes.
Meanwhile, Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Cynthia Ford, says the Caribbean struggles with dementia.
Estimates for the Caribbean indicate 328,000 persons currently living with dementia, placing the Caribbean second only to Latin America as the region in the world with the highest age-standardized prevalence for dementia among persons aged 60 years and older. Projections suggest this prevalence in the Caribbean will double by 2030 and triple by 2050 to over 1.026 million persons.
In other news now, as health officials move to protect Barbados against leptospirosis, they're reminding Barbadians that pets can also contract the disease. Deputy Chief Environmental Health Officer Ronald Chapman says leptospirosis is not only spread by rats. He wants Barbadians to protect their pets, as a man recently caught the virus from his dog. Mr. Chapman says the symptoms of leptospirosis are non-specific and shouldn't be confused with the flu. He was a guest on CBC TV 8's program Morning Barbados.
You get the body ache, the fever, you get, well, more specifically, you get the yellow in the eyes, which is the dead eyes and skin, which is the jaundice. You get stomach pain, those sort of symptoms. So it's a very non-headache. You get those symptoms. What we do recommend is that if you were out camping, doing any outdoor activities, you were outside gardening, and you were not wearing your protective clothing, if you were swimming in water that you know was contaminated with animal feces, or you were in any way dealing with sores, or anywhere where you know that animals would have been, or especially with rodents would have been, rats specifically, then it is important, if you start to come down with any sort of flu-like symptoms, seek medical attention.
And Barbadians were also advised to clean up their surroundings before putting down rat bait and to practice proper waste disposal.
Some of those garbage cans, when you pull them away, you can see the rat holes right under the garbage. So what needs to happen is that we need to be able to put We need the small holes in the bottom of the garbage can.
So
the water can run out, so you don't have another problem like mosquito breeding.
Right.
But you also need to have garbage cans with covers. If you don't have garbage cans with covers, those tall ones that are plastic, the rats will have some challenge running up those. But a lot of times people rest them against walls, rest them against trees and other areas, and the rats just climb on that and jump in. So you want to be able to do that. Try not to put out your garbage before garbage day. That's a good suggestion. It's not always practical.
Monkeys, though deemed a nuisance for some in the agricultural sector, are actually boosting another part of the local economy, tourism. Director of the Welshmore Hall Gully, Deborah Branker, says they've been incorporating the animals into their attraction.
Monkeys play a huge role in tourism. People get very excited to see a monkey. I know most people think they're a pest, but to see a wild animal quite close, you'll be driving your car and you see one cross the road. No matter if you like an animal or not, it's very exciting to see a wild animal. So close. And I can give you an example when I travel. And if I see a raccoon or I see a badger or I even see a rabbit, I get excited. And my friends who live there, they roll their eyes because they're pests to them. But to see a wild animal is quite exciting.
Ms. Branker says the conflict between human development and wild animals is not unique to Barbados.
All over the world it is going on. I mean, if you go to Canada, you go to some parts, there's bears and lions. You go to parts of Africa, we've got tigers and elephants. And the one difference between those and us is that we've got a monkey. They've got animals that can kill. But people are now seeing that to wildlife and tourism can be seen as a there is conflict, but also there can be seen as a conservation and promoting both. So that's why I like to sort of see the other side of monkeys, and it is part of our tourism product.
Education news now. An abandoned block of the Parkinson Memorial School in the Pine is likely to be refurbished. That's the word from Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Santia Bradshaw, as Goddard Enterprises and Sign Depot partner with the school to assist in a number of areas. The B block was abandoned back in 2005 following complaints of noise and air pollution from the ABC highway.
We have some plans for you because we understand that a lot of the kids here are interested in music, right? Yeah? Some of you are interested in the arts. Yeah? And we want to be able to allow you to reach your true and fullest potential. But we can only do so if we have the support of entities like the Goddard's Group and Sign Depot and others to be able to make sure that you have the instruments to work with, that you have the tools to work with, and that you have the environment in which you have to work with.
An appeal is being made tonight for corporate Barbados and individuals to make donations to the Pure Sex Center. The center carries out a program which empowers primary and secondary school students to save sex for marriage. Director Ambrose Carter says it takes about $30,000 a month to run the program. He says they're asking for assistance to continue the work in schools, which has been ongoing for more than 10 years.
Where we encourage individuals to live lives of moral excellence and sexual purity. By this we mean encourage the youngsters or give them the option of waiting for marriage before becoming sexually active and remaining faithful. And we want individuals to partner with us by giving to the organization.
And fellow director Maria Carter says they are getting many calls from parents who need guidance dealing with their children on the issue of sex and sexuality. This is why, she says, the Pure Sex Center wants to organize some workshops in a few weeks' time.
It has been difficult for us in terms of finances and also in terms of help as well, volunteerism as well. So yes, we would want to appeal now for those persons who have an interest in the young people, in the youth, to get on board with us, because there is definitely a need to educate. We believe that if the young people are educated and they're given as we like to say, the full circle of truth, not just one message, one-dimensional, but if you give them the full circle of truth, then young people will have better options in terms of choice.